Elle Duncan, the major headlines yesterday. Our dearly beloved, he's very, very much still alive.
Right.
Colleague,
It sounds
former
like an
colleague
outfit.
now, Adrian Wojnarowski. Damn, he's hanging it up. But somebody immediately in the comments said Brian Windhorst now takes the mantle, and any breaking news he has, we can call breaking wind.
A gas bomb.
Oh, that's pretty good. Windy's gonna have to start launching news now.
I love that. Welcome to the Elle Duncan Show with Gary Striesky. Breaking wind. Well done. There's a
I
lot you
almost
can do
killed
with
off
that.
Woj. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It was giving obit. It was a little bit. It was funny because, typically in these situations when we pay homage to someone who means as much as they do to the respective sports world, we tend to do it in obit fashion. And yesterday we were doing sports and we are like, how do we treat this Woj news without making it sound like he's dying? And yeah, for those that don't know, Adrian Wojnarowski, NBA insider, goated, has decided he is going to retire from being an NBA insider and become a GM for the Bonnies. St. Bonaventure, which is his alma mater. And let me tell you, Woj loves the Bonnies. Like, more than he loves thesauruses during NBA draft, more than he loves having 3 to 4 phones, more than he loves anything. He loves those Bonnies. And I just very quickly have to say, I think it is so dope. There's a whole lot of chatter about how much money he's leaving on the table. He's okay. But I think that it is so dope that someone can come to a conclusion that despite being very successful at something, making a ton of money at something, he does not feel beholden to it and that he
Mhm.
wanted to pursue happiness. He could have gone and probably been a GM for an NBA team. And instead, he wanted to go home, back to St. Bonaventure, a place that makes him happy. And he wanted to pour into those kids and make them better. And I think being able to walk away on top, at the top of your game and pursue happiness is, to me, that's the biggest takeaway I'll take away from Woj, apart from everything else he was great at.
Elle, do you think he loves the Bonnies more than you love breaking out in random song?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't know.
Hey,
Maybe. I don't
hey, that's
know.
the closest comp I can think of for real.
Legitimately. Like, if you took the ability to break out into random song from me, I would
Mhm.
die. And
You would.
so
Then I'd have to
I
get on this podcast and actually like posthumously remember you as the Elle Duncan Show. We're gonna miss her breaking out in song, creating her own song,
yeah.
taking on different accents, going a la Jerry Jones and everything else. But fortunately, we don't have to, Elle.
Yeah, no, don't ever take that from me. My ability to randomly break out into a Russian accent or a French accent or an Australian accent. I like to do it. It's kind of a thing.
Let's hear the Texas one because they are the number one team in the country, Elle. So it's
Yeah.
apropos.
Yeah, we're going to run through some W's or some L's. Is this a W or an L? The question is, Texas football being named number one, leapfrogging Georgia for that top spot after their emphatic win over UTSA.
Come on.
Is that a win or an L? I think it is a win for Georgia. Kirby Smart loves this. He loves it. He loves that Georgia was barely able to eke by Kentucky, which is kind of a thing. They cannot beat Kentucky in Kentucky. There is something about being at Kentucky that makes their offense go completely cold. But nevertheless, they do enough. They hold on. So they don't lose a game. They haven't lost a regular season game in years, and they still get leapfrogged by Texas. And frankly, you can see why. Texas looks like a more complete team right now, but Kirby Smart loves this. This is bulletin board material for his team right now. Look how little they respect you. Okay. Texas beat UTSA, and you actually beat an SEC school, and they still don't think that means anything. And
Hey,
yeah, so I'm all for it.
Texas had to beat UTSA with their backup quarterback.
It's
They
UTSA, bruh.
they did have to beat him with Arch Manning, but this has very much shades of Georgia being left out of the college football playoff last year after running the regular season slate and then obviously losing SEC championship game. So a one-loss Bulldogs team gets left out of the playoffs. This is a dub for both. For one, Georgia, they get a road test from an SEC team every single year, it seems like, and it's kind of what galvanizes the team to sort of run through the rest. And even though they are the number one team in the country, it's like, oh, us versus the world. Also, though, a big time dub for Texas because if actually, and for everybody who sort of talks about them, because now Arch Manning is going to have to play Louisiana Monroe, which, by the way, these Warhawks, they're not scared. Their coach was talking this morning on SportsCenter. A ton of their players played Arch in Louisiana high school football. So they actually got some tape on him. This is actually kind of juicy. But it's a dub for Texas because now when we say Texas is back, Elle, I think for the first time in so long, we actually mean it and it's not a joke.
Fair. Okay, how about this one? Is this a win or an L? Florida State facing Cal, who are 3-0, by the way. FSU 0-3. Will this be a win for a Knowles team that is down bad?
Elle, we dragged Florida State through the mud last week, and you don't even have to tell me who they're playing. All you have to tell me is Florida State is playing a football game this weekend, and I'll say, all right, cool, that's a dub for the other team. They've not shown us anything to give us any sort of confidence that they're going to win, especially now against a Cal team, a Big Ten powerhouse. You know,
A blue blood of the Big Ten.
hey, the cream of the Big Ten crop. All right, you don't just get Big Ten wins now.
No.
All right. And the Cal
You're not just
Bears.
going to just roll the ball out against Cal and
That's
get a
what I'm
win.
saying. Like, you don't just, I don't know if they're playing this game at the Rose Bowl, but you don't just play a Big Ten, a big dog and expect to win. So sorry, Florida State. We're going 0-4.
Yeah. So the Knowles right now, our ESPN Football Power Index gives them only a 21% chance to make a bowl. And it says that they are going to finish with a 4-8 record, which would in fact mean that they do not get a bowl.
Yeah, that the math ain't mathing right there, Elle. The only reason we're giving this a 21 is in honor of like the 21 gun salute. I just visited Arlington National Cemetery, so like the recency bias is right there. The 21, that is just such an arbitrary number. This team stinks. They are not going to have a 500 record this year. Forget about it.
Yeah, the game is going to be in Florida.
Okay, got it.
And so there you go. Not that that means a whole heck of a lot. I don't know. Their defense was decent, but DJ Uiagalelei, it's not going well. I'm not sure.
Not happening.
I don't see it happening. And I try to look at their schedule a little bit. I got like as far as next week to SMU. I was like, they might be 0-5.
That's brutal.
All right, let's go back to the SEC for a minute.
Come on.
Big news in college football that Tennessee is going to increase their ticket prices by 10%. It's basically going to be a tax, an NIL tax. And their thing is, in order to compete in football, like y'all claim we need to be able to do, we got to pay these players. And in order to pay these players, we can no longer rely on third-party pockets. So we're going to need you, the fans, to come up with a little bit of change. And Gary, is that a W or an L?
It's both. It's a push. It's a W for the players, but it's an L for the fan base who is the third party that is now getting, just like us citizens, we're the ones who get taxed for all of the overspending. Tennessee's football team brought in $130 million of revenue last year. They had $79 million in profit, just the football team. That's insane. You can definitely let some of that money trickle down to the players. If we're talking a $20 million roster, all right, you're still clearing $50 million in net revenue. Now, this is a 10% fee across all sporting events. So it's football, it's basketball, it's women's basketball, to basically play not just the football players, but all of the football players. But this does help Tennessee. I don't know if it's every school in the SEC, but now Tennessee goes from 85 football scholarships to 105. So they quite literally can inject this cash straight into the program, which would obviously, hopefully in their eyes, lead to more winning. Neyland Stadium seats 100,000. So that is insane money straight from the jump. And am I reading this incorrectly? It's 10% across all tickets. And for the football program, it's an additional 4.5%. So it's 14.5%. Am I tripping? It's not outside the realm of possibility. All I know is the fan did not volunteer to take on this fee.
Yeah. The good news is that if anyone's going to pay extra money for the football, it's going to be Tennessee.
SEC.
The bad news being this is a Tennessee team that hasn't won a national championship since 1998. Like that is almost 30 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So with this comes, of course, the what am I paying for? Right. And we get so annoyed. Like I think we talked about it on the show before. Um, the little league guy that got pissed off that Aaron Judge didn't show more attention to his little league team at the little league classic. And he was like, we pay your salaries. And I'm like, no, you don't. In this instance, the
Damn.
fans kind of do, right? This isn't relying on some like NIL fund or some booster fund. This is 100% the fans going, all right, I paid quite literally for these players and I expect to see
True.
results, but I do not think this is an outlier. I think that this is going to
This is gonna
be,
happen. This is
this
gonna
is going to
happen.
happen everywhere.
It's
This
the
is going to be
floodgates.
the 100%. This is going to be, they're just the early people to do it, but I definitely think we're going to see a lot more people do it. And again, we've already decided, and it's already been clear that amateurism is gone in college football
Correct.
and all college athletics. And so at this point, it's like, listen, if you want us to be able to compete, which we all want to be able to do, especially in the SEC, if you want us to sports, we have to be able to compete financially. And the best way to do that, especially with some of the new sanctions that will be coming down inevitably from Congress, is to put it on the fans. And, you know, if you're paying 50, 60 bucks for a ticket, and that's cheap, then I would say paying an extra $5 or $6 to make sure that the product is good on the court or the field or whatever that looks like is probably, but you're definitely, I think, going to put more of a target on the players' backs. And like that is the one
Yeah,
part
for
that is a bit of
sure.
a bummer, right? You're going to make them the ire of more hate because people are quite literally going to go, I pay for this and how dare you?
It's insane. As an aside, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Kevin Nagandi said that to Aaron Judge. That's crazy. I'm just kidding, Kevin. I know you didn't say it to Aaron Judge. I just knew you were at the Little League World Series.
It was the Jersey guy,
I
you
reached
know,
for the
the
low
very
hanging fruit.
Jersey
Listen,
way. Yeah.
he's a Phil's guy. Everybody knows that's not true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, you know, listen, I think people can say what they want, but like, yeah, you're going to start seeing this everywhere. And in particular for places that compete and are traditionally really, really good. Like if
Mhm.
Tennessee's doing this, you know it's coming to Georgia because they've actually got real evidence, you
Oh
know? They've
God.
actually got real proof that like, hey, we're already doing this well at recruiting and able to secure some of these players and we can do even better. They're all going to start using the keeping up with the Joneses. Well, if Tennessee's doing it, we have to do it because we have to compete. And
The
now we
thing
have to
about,
compete.
yeah, the thing that scares me about this, it is a very slippery slope because the average season ticket price to sit in the upper bowl at Neyland Stadium, 15 straight seasons with sellouts in regular season games, or 15 straight sellouts, either way, is $450. So it's a $50 increase basically for these fans.
Yeah.
And if you can't get like the regular fan to fill the top bowl, right, then you're going to start. My fear is it's going to take a while. My fear is similar to what we see a lot in NFL games and at Yankee Stadium, and especially at bowl games and at Super Bowls, is you start pricing out real fans and then they just become corporate events. And then you lose the luster of what college sports is the passion and the pageantry, because then it just gets filled with the C-suites. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
eventually I think we're going to get there. It's not going to be this decade, but if you start pricing out your actual fans, it's going to be troublesome.
I agree with you there. I remember going to Super Bowls even 10, 12 years ago, and they're unattainable for most people now. I mean,
Yes,
hell, even for us, we get media credentials. Like that's a lot of the
straight up.
ways that I go and see these events, national championships, whatnot, is either being gifted tickets or using a media credential because it's difficult to pay. I do wonder, and I didn't do enough digging on the story, if there's some kind of exemption for the student tickets. Like, do you let, the
No, they
student
doubled in
tickets?
price, L.
Wow. Okay.
So
Well,
Neelan, so volunteer student tickets last year it went from $10 to this year $20, and then next year they're going to go to $25 for student tickets. So they literally doubled from last year to this year, and then they're tacking on another 20. So they're getting hit with a 25% increase next year.
wow.
It's been a while since I've been in college, but my math is mathing today. El,
I
give me
see.
something else. Give me something else. I got some math to
Well,
share.
let's see. $25 is what?
All right, that's a
Six.
cap for me.
I was like, is what, 6, 7, 12 packs of Natty Light? I mean, that's a lot of beer that they
True,
are
but you got to
going
be
to be
21, and
forfeiting.
they're sneaking that off. They're peeling. They're paying a premium to get somebody to fund that.
You got to be 21, do you? You're so
Yeah,
sweet
true.
and
That's how
innocent and
college. That's how.
naive.
Oh, that's how drinking works. That's the law.
And every college campus abides by it too.
They do.
we forgot to tease that on this very show, we're going to be joined by the incomparable Bomani Jones. Can't wait for that. We're going to have some pressing questions for Bomani that only Bomani can answer in a very Bo type of way. But Gare Bear,
Talk to me.
today is for all the marbles. The WNBA regular season ends today, today being Thursday. That's when we're taping.
Yo, we got some stakes at play.
Dude, I really love when the seasons come down to, and like the WNBA doesn't have a ton of games, and so you always know that they all mean something. They're all impactful. We talk about that sometimes even with baseball. It's 162 games, and alas, a lot of times it still comes down to the final game, and
Try
that's
to wake
exactly
us
what
up
we've
in
got today.
September. Wake us up in September. Major
Talk to
League.
me when the leaves start falling. But
Fact.
in the W today, most everybody is locked up in terms of being in the playoffs. Of course, the only thing still left to decide is who's going to be that 8 seed. And it's going to either be the Atlanta Dream, the Chicago Sky, or the Washington Mystics. Apart from that, there's also still some seeding implications that can
Mhm.
happen. Liberty are locked all the way up at number 1. But there can still be some seeding between Connecticut and the Aces. 3-4 is still up for
Yep.
grabs. And so I want to outlook this a little bit and get your prediction, because you've got the Dream facing the Liberty, who are again number 1, locked up. You've got the Sky on the road at Connecticut, who are still playing for something.
Mhm.
And then you've got the Mystics, who are playing the Fever, who are not playing for anything. They've locked up that 6 seed. So when you predict who you think is going to get that final 8 seed, I'm not going to say who I think it should be. I'm not going to say who I think it will be. I'm going to say, if you're the Atlanta Dream, okay, and you only have to win against a Liberty team that will probably won't play anybody, and you have no reason to want to lose because you have no number 1 draft pick, you gave that away to
Right.
Washington,
Traded it away.
and Chicago is probably not going to have anyone playing because of
Yep.
injury. We'll keep an eye out on Kennedy Carter. She's questionable. Camila Cardoso, doubtful. We already know Angel Reese is out. And then you've got a Washington Mystics team that benefits greatly from losing tonight, because not only would they get their own lottery pick, they would also get Atlanta's lottery pick.
Mhm.
Then it has to be Atlanta, man. I mean, you have to win this game. And there's a lot of people wondering, if Atlanta can't secure this, if they can't win this game, does there need to be some real changes, some real sweeping changes at the coaching position, at the front office position, if you can't secure this bag?
I mean, it's everybody's in the Paige Becker sweepstakes. The Mystics and the Sky are, right? The Atlanta Dream don't even have to win tonight to secure the 8th seed, but it's going to be interesting if they lose and for whatever reason the Sky and or Mystics also win, because then we're dealing with a 3-way tie, and then it goes to like the 3rd level of a tiebreaker, because they have the head to head is tied as well, the Dream and the Sky. So then it goes to your record above 500 teams. Let's just try to avoid all that and have the Dream win outright. If
Yeah.
they do that, it doesn't matter what's going to happen. And at the end of the day, you want the best crop of 8 teams playing. Now, am I saying the Liberty have a shot at beating excuse me, do I think the Dream have a shot at beating the Liberty in a 3-game series all in New York? No, probably not. But like, what's the alternative for them? Not getting into the playoffs and leaving empty-handed because they don't get a lottery pick? It's going to be the Dream in the 8th seed.
Yeah, I think that it will be. I think it'll be the Dream. Let's do some predicting on the other ones, though, because again, we don't exactly know all of the seeding. It could be a number of teams, but as of
Yeah.
right now, if it was Lynx Mercury, who's your winner in that first round series?
I think it's Minnesota. I know that Phoenix has a lot to play for. Diana Taurasi, 42. Is this her swan song? Yes, it probably is. Brittany Griner's not getting any younger, but we've seen enough from Minnesota to indicate to me that they would win this series.
Yeah, I also think that the health of Kalia Copper comes into play. She's been out since
Mhm.
September 7th with a back, so that's big. And yeah, I mean, DT is still contributing. I would join Sarah Spain's podcast, Good Game with Sarah Spain, the other day, and we talked about, what her legacy will be, and should she hang it up, and is she still the player that we all remember? Do these new W fans not recognize, who she is now, but she's still contributing. Like, she's still, putting up numbers. She's averaging over 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, she's still, contributing to a team. But I think she also wanted to leave the franchise in a good spot. And I think that she
Mhm.
feels that it is in that good spot, bringing in new coaching. Like she feels like they've changed the culture. But this could potentially be the last home game that we see for the Mercury tonight when they close out the season. And it will be interesting. I think if it is, her legacy will be, because I was asked to say what I thought her legacy would be. And I just think her legacy would be that of the ultimate competitor, and also as one of the first people, when we talked about Gino saying that the reason that women's basketball has changed is because you no longer need a comparable of a man in order to respect their game. Diana was that person. Like DT
Sure.
was like the white mamba, right? Like it was this comparison of Diana's so good because she plays like a boy, or because she's so competitive, or
Mhm.
because she's, she doesn't adopt by the idea that we all have to be friends and braid each other's hair. She is a pest, and she likes to get under people's skin. And when I think about Diana Taurasi, I'll think about an ultimate leader, but also just a winner at every level. I mean, just an absolute winner at every single level, from college to the Olympics to the international level. And then here as well, a champion everywhere she went.
And soon to be joining a WNBA countdown desk in a seat near Elle. Hey, yo, that's for sure. And listen, she's 42, so don't you think you want to go out on top as a gold medal winner? I mean, the same year that she won her last record-breaking gold medal for the U.S. Women's National Team is the same year that she retired from the NBA. So even if the Mercury fall flat in the playoffs, winning the gold medal in her last year will sort of be what people remember.
100%. And just a quick reminder, you guys, because there is a lot of new W fans, just a reminder of how the WNBA playoffs work. It's a best of 3 series in the first round. The higher seeded team hosts game 1 and 2. If they need a game 3, then the lower seeded team gets 1 game. The semis goes to a best of 5. The higher seeded team, same situation, has games 1 and 2. And if needed, a game 5. Those middle games, if needed, are hosted by the lower seed. And then the finals, also a best of 5, same situation. So
Mhm.
can't wait. We're finally going to have some answers after tonight. And a reminder that the WNBA playoffs start on Sunday. And we have a quadruple header for you, which
Let's
means your
get it.
girl's going to be at work all day on Sunday. All
In
right.
studio, Elle, or are you on location?
We are in studio,
Okay.
me, Drea, Chene. We will be posted up across ABC and ESPN, and we'll have all those games for you once we officially know which matchups are set. We got to get out of the way, though, because you know who's coming?
Pull up, Bo.
Throw them bow.
Drop bows on him.
Gary, I do not mean to make you feel some type of way. I don't want to offend you in any way. I'm just saying
Here we go.
that whenever someone comes up to me to make a comment about my podcasting prowess or how much they love me in the podcast world,
Mhm.
it is always because I'm on Bomani Jones' podcast.
Hey.
Like always. And I've told Bo this. It's wild to me. And I mean, I just went to NABJ and it was just Bomani, Bomani, Bomani. In fact, I got recognized at this random restaurant that was swanky. And there's this like white guy with his expensive looking Prada glasses. And he keeps staring at me. And like immediately I'm like, he doesn't think I belong here. He hates me. And he finally calls me over and he's like, I'm sorry. I have to buy you a drink, Elle. I listen to Bomani. I love you on Bomani show. This man, Bomani Jones, be out there. And so
Damn.
he is finally on this show. I don't want to make you feel any kind of way. I just want you to know that the man that I cheat on you with is better looking than you, and he's right here in your face, Gary.
Hey, that's fine. It sounds like Bomani needs to send you the invoice then. All right. He
No,
needs to be peeling back a share of whatever.
no. Who needs to be throwing me a share back is these dudes that's out here using me as their excuse to try to holler at L. Like that's what that one is coming down to right there, right? Like I'm their wingman, completely and totally unwittingly. They're like, yeah, Bomani's kind of like my friend. And
Yeah,
so you know what I'm saying? We can do that right here. That's what type of they ain't fooling me.
See,
he's not
Bomani and I
wrong.
have so much in common. He and I, so it sounds like both he and I have to run just copious amounts of cover. All right, for you. So
A little interference. He's not wrong.
it's
People will be like, yo, L, tell Bomani I said, what's up? I'm like, oh, are you friends with Bomani? They're like, no, but I listen to his podcast. While I got you, I'm like, okay, there we go. Bomani is the end. He is the wingman.
damn.
That's what I need to call myself. It's actually funny though, and I really appreciate you saying that because Mina was telling me a similar thing the other day, that like when people people use me as their reason to feel comfortable to come have these conversations with you all. Even Howard Bryant, who is not the easiest person for a stranger to come talk to. Like that is like, it makes me feel good that the podcast is a little bit of a bridge. But again, I can tell when he was staring at you, he wasn't staring at you because he was like, oh, that's that woman from Bomani's podcast. He was just staring.
Well, then the girl he was with was
polite.
giving me the up and down, looking at me. I was like, sweetie, I am not. We are just here to bond over podcasts, ma'am. I do not want your man. It's not my flavor type.
But her thing is to her, it ain't about whether or not you want him. That ain't how she see it. She think he got all the game.
It's a one-way street.
Fair, totally fair. A reminder that the right time of Bomani Jones, you can see it on YouTube Mondays, Wednesdays, noon Eastern. I love when you have Foxworth Fridays too, our guy Fox, who, by the way, him and his slight, like little just insert about Shannon Sharp's hit.
Whoa.
That video, Bo, did like 6 million views.
Yo, let me tell you part of what's funny about that. So I happened to be having dinner with him that night. So I'm not going to lie. I put together a pretty good dinner. Like we all put it together at the same time, but it was me, Dominique, Roy Wood, and Ta-Nehisi Coates. And so me and Dominique get there first. We standing outside talking about it. And the first thing that Roy says was, did he know you was going to do it? Like that was the first words that came out of his mouth. Like Dominique, and if you do TV, and we all, well, I guess I don't do TV in the present tense, but if you've done TV, you understand this and the way he did it. When you're on that satellite, there's a lot going on in your ear potentially at a time, and you can't really hear people when they say low things from another location. So when he said that, it is entirely possible those people have no idea that that happened until they got home.
100%. That's exactly what happened because they just kept moving. I was like, oh, we heard it. He slipped it right in.
Yes.
Pun intended.
Well played. Well played. Well played.
Still talking about Fox? Yeah. Okay.
All right. Pressing questions with Bomani Jones and Bo. You know, I'm starting right here at the top from the top rope. Does Kirk Cousins have you back on that Falcons narcotic?
Hell no. Hell no. In fact, I can't believe this. I got friends like Dominique, and I forget what he picked the Falcons to do this year. I got these friends that's out here looking at the combination of Kirk Cousins and the Falcons, and they expecting good things. And that only leads me to believe that y'all don't be listening to nothing that I say. Kirk Cousins in a loser suit. And you think that this is going to like work out? Oh, one leg. You got one-legged Kirk Cousins in a loser suit.
Yeah.
Oh, no, like Bijan. Bijan's one of my favorite players. Like, I am here for the resurgence of the running back. I like the way he plays. He is made for Atlanta, right? He is studded out. Like, he is the Black Hollywood thing. He's totally built for it. He might have tempted me to start loving losers again, right? I don't really so much do that. That ain't my bag. The Eagles need to be worried. Oh, one leg in a loser suit, Kirk Cousins walked y'all down.
He really did. He really did. In fact, I had predicted, obviously not well, on First Take that Kirk Cousins would be benched after the game with the Eagles. and still, that's the thing about Kirk Cousins, though, and really the Falcons, is that they do just enough. That's why Bo always says, stay off the narcotic. They do just enough to get you excited. I had rolled over in bed and went to sleep right before that Saquon drop. I mean, I was like, I'm not watching this. Like, they're about to lose.
I did too.
Again. Yeah. I was like, I'm done. I'm out. And then inexplicably, the Eagles just have a meltdown in the same way they had meltdowns numerous times last year. And it was just wild to me that you let this man move right down the field like he's Joe Montana. He clearly has one leg. You bring no pass rush. It's just prevent. I mean, for me, it was much more of an indictment on the Eagles than it was an endorsement of Kirk Cousins.
Elle, you were right about an NFC South quarterback getting benched. It's just not on that team. But I do want to stay in NFC South proper in New Orleans, side of the Super Bowl. Bo, was Lil Wayne legitimately snubbed from doing the halftime show in his hometown?
I have a slew of reasons why he was not snubbed. Okay. Number one, the Super Bowl has never been, the Super Bowl halftime act has never been locationally specific except for last year, right? When we had the Super Bowl in LA and they did G-Funk Super Bowl, which I would like to note I have been calling for since 2010. It is documented. I am the visionary that led to this beginning to happen. I hate to be the guy who does this. Like one of my former professors who I love dearly, he is adamant that he is the person who coined the nickname for Barry White, the Walrus of Love, right? Like all of us have a thing that we think that we were the first person to do, but I'm telling you, I knew the G-Funk would bring people together. Violence and misogyny is what America loves, and I knew that G-Funk Super Bowl would go over very well, and I'm going to be honest, I had a blast with it. Anyway, outside of that, it has never really been geographically specific. The last time they had the Super Bowl in New Orleans, it was Beyonce, and it was the time that she did that thing where she kissed her finger and switched her hips, and I don't even want to tell you what I would have done. But my point being, let me tell you something. If I had blacked out, I may have. I really don't know. Like, I can't tell you what I did. It was just
those are telltale signs of blacking out, Bo.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But no, it doesn't work that way. The other thing I got to tell you, and you hear people talk about this, but this is the truth. Lil Wayne lived in Miami. And so he came to the studio once for Highly Questionable to sit with Poppy and, do a song. That man don't be knowing the words to his own songs. And I'm not even talking about the deep cuts. I'm talking about 6 foot, 7 foot. I think it's more like the nature of that recording one line at a time and dudes don't realize it. I'm just saying that is not a reliable person for that Super Bowl. And Kendrick Lamar is kind of killing the game right now. Like if it would be different if it was like, instead of Wayne, it was Lil Turk. Right? Then it'd just be like, damn, y'all are hating. But they wasn't hating.
Right. I'm with you 100%. It's about who's supposed to be the biggest of the acts, and nobody had a bigger year than Kendrick Lamar did. And on top of that, Wayne has not been relevant worldwide because the Super Bowl is a worldwide event, in like 15 or 20 years. It's just the truth. The last album was trash. It's not good. Now, here's where I take a little bit of exception. I saw yesterday that Jay-Z and the people who, work with Jay-Z in the NFL said, we need to trust him here because since he took over being responsible for the Super Bowl acts, he has nailed it every single time. And I just want both of you exactly to hit me with a yay or nay when I run through who he's picked. 2020, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez.
Nope.
Was that in Miami? That was a very Miami show, by the way, even though those people aren't from Miami. But if that's what you're into.
Okay. 2021, The Weeknd.
Nah. That was not. I didn't think the world wanted to. I honestly didn't know he was that famous until then.
See, I thought, I think that it's either yes, no, or indifferent. And The Weeknd for me, I was like, I think it hit all the chords.
I think that he's not a great live musical performer. I also find The Weeknd to be sort of whiny.
That's when he was lost in the glass house, right? He was
right, and there was all of the fabric. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I did not think his reach to people older than him was strong enough. Because with all due respect, you want to be young and hip, but y'all ain't got no money.
Correct. Exactly. And he's definitely an emo pick. We discussed the 2022, the LA one. We loved it. 2023, Rihanna.
Announced the pregnancy.
And let me avoid any hot takes on that part of it. I don't want to.
Let's not avoid that, Bo. Come on.
No. You don't want to poke the Navy. You don't want to poke the Navy.
You're not going to make me into the Las Vegas Aces. No, you are not. I am just going to say that was not the most high energy performance that I have ever seen. And Rihanna's another one. So here's the thing about Rihanna in that case. I've never thought of Rihanna as a super great performer. And I could be wrong. Maybe you guys have more experience there. That's not what being the finest mother sucker in the world was not going to be enough. You needed to put a little gas behind that. But if they had just had her sitting there for 15 minutes, not making a sound, that'd been good enough for me.
I think it was considered such a coup because she doesn't ever perform, right? So it was like, oh, you finally got Rihanna to come out the house and perform. Of course, she announces the pregnancy, which was something as well. But yeah, in general, I've seen Rihanna in concert a couple of times. I would agree with you in that she is not known for having a robust live performance. She doesn't do a ton of dancing. There's a lot of sort of walking around, which, of course, you can do when you're Rihanna. And then last year, Usher. Did we feel like he nailed Usher, the Usher pick?
Loved it. I loved Usher. Because Usher is multi-generational. Dude started in the 90s and he's still making hits in the 2020s. That's crazy.
I don't
spans
think
3 decades.
I don't think that he was a bad selection. He's not really my speed per se. But nailed, I don't know. That was another one where they tried to do like quasi city overlap, right? Because he was doing the residency in Las Vegas. I think if you were Jay-Z and what you wanted to do was affirm Usher for the historical canon, then you nailed it. I don't know how much that went over. Like, you talk about it being a worldwide event. Usher is only famous in the English speaking world. Like, he's like, that's that. So you start talking about like Central America or South America, for example, he ain't really that big a deal there. I find Usher to be a little bit silly, so I'm not the best person to ask him. Didn't he do that damn OMG song at the Super Bowl? Like, that's my problem with Usher. Usher don't understand. And if you went to that, I don't know if he's still doing the same songs on this tour. He got a real bad grasp on songs you ain't got to sing no more. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to do Love in This Club no more. You ain't got to do Good Kisser no more. You sound silly. Stop being silly. You're damn near 50 years old. You can sit your silly ass down and stop doing these silly songs.
Hey, man, Loving This Club is a banger, though, dude. Certified platinum. He's got to run it, Bo. What are we doing here? We got to do the hits, man. What time is it? It's 7 o'clock on the dot, man. Everybody knows that.
He made a song about having sex in the club when he was in his 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's all I'm
like
saying.
Married to like a mom, so he wasn't having sex in the club either. He wasn't doing
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's come on, brother. Come on, man. Like I say, he's silly. That's all I'm saying. He's silly. He made, you know what, and I know what happened. He made that one Growing Up album and didn't nobody buy it. And he was like, fine, I'll just be silly for the rest of my life.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This song, because I love Usher. I loved the pick, but I'm also from Atlanta. It felt like an Atlanta Super Bowl make good when they decided to go inexplicably with Maroon 5. It felt like a little bit of a make good. But the one time I've looked at Usher and gone, now y'all, you need to stop singing about these type of women that you don't actually like, is when he made that song about the shawty I don't mind if you grind on a pole, that'll make you a hoe, while he was married to a record executive. I'm like, you don't want these type of women either. Stop singing like you like to go pick your women out the shoe modeling establishment. You do not. You like executives and moms. Please stop.
Usher pretending like he gonna take that stripper home? No, he not.
I've got one more pressing question for Bo, because it leads me into something else, another game we're going to play with him. Is Bryce Young the new Baker Mayfield?
So this is interesting, right? Because I have seen that time that they got that video of Baker Mayfield dancing. You remember that video of Baker Mayfield dancing?
Okay. Oh, he hit that.
He did. But you know what he did after he stopped hitting that? He went back to being somebody named Baker Mayfield, if you know what I mean, right? And so that is to say that I'm not sure that Bryce Young will be afforded the levels of patience that Baker Mayfield has had in order to make that sort of comeback. I am not sure. I suppose it is possible. I have not been in on this Bryce Young thing as an NFL quarterback since the very beginning. So this is not, for me, I don't immediately look at this and just be like, oh my God, the Panthers ruined him. I'm like, look, there's only been one Drew Brees. And what you're asking for Bryce Young to be is Drew Brees. I don't know how good you can be at that size, all of those things. But they so sorry, and they so sorry in every way, that somebody might give him another chance. But the difference between him and Baker Mayfield is this. Baker Mayfield hit the scene on fire, and then the league caught up, and then he had to adjust again. Bryce Young has been so bad that when you look at who his statistical peers are for their first couple of years of their careers and how bad he is, there's no way that you would think that he could possibly be good. Like everybody else that's in the same zip code as him on his performance, not just is a little bit bad. They stunk. Like, he's looking more now like the first, like the next Josh Rosen. And they went and they replaced him after a year. They replaced him after a year with a little black dude named Kyler Murray. That's how sorry he was.
You don't think this has anything to do with the environment that he's in? Because I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Like, since Tepper calls all the shots, which, by the way, Frank Wright was vetoed. He wanted CJ Stroud, and instead Tepper was like, go get B. White. I mean, he's only in his second season. Like, isn't this just a circumstance of where he's at? 2 seasons, 2 head coaches, 2 different offenses. Who knows how many different offensive linemen? Like, this leash is far too short.
No, I think that's a big part of it, right? Like, I actually think benching him is better for him because he could probably stand to watch. So yes, the circumstances that surround him have not been good. I agree with you. However, I know what it looks like when a good quarterback is playing on a bad team. He looked just as sorry as everybody else. Like, he don't look like he out there and it's like, damn, I can't believe. Like Archie Manning, Peyton Manning's daddy. He was a legendary case of, you'd watch those games and just be like, oh, wow, he's so good, but he's surrounded by bums. Bryce Young looked like just another one of them. Like, somebody be like, yo, so which one of them was the number one pick in the draft? You'd be like, one of them was the number one pick in the draft? Who?
Bum recognize bum, and you looking real
That's
familiar.
right. That's right. I seen you before.
That's crazy.
But here's the thing that I loved from what Bryce said when he was asked this week about his confidence after having been benched and all of these things. And he said, my confidence is in the Lord. And Bomani, this got me thinking about some of the greatest spiritual sidesteppers of all time. These are people who are asked tough questions and immediately go to scripture. So I'm going to give you a classic quote from a spiritual sidestepper, and I want you to guess which spiritual sidestepper said it. Ready?
Let's go. Deion Sanders. I don't even need the question. He one of them. But go ahead.
It's a good one. I don't know what my future holds, but I do know who holds my future.
Is that Dabo? Oh, that's Tim Tebow?
Tim Tebow, baby.
Wow.
Asked about his future in the NFL, and that's what he hit us with.
In what year? It's been many years that he said this. I'll tell you right now, I bet Tim Tebow somewhere right now working out just in case.
Yeah, honestly, that could have been after the Mets, too.
Yes, that's true. Talk about a guy that got every chance to make it happen.
He's still on that creatine, though, heavy, just in case he gets the call. That's a fact.
That's right. He ain't trying to buy no new clothes.
All
right, what about this one? What about this one? We built this program on NIL. We really did. It's probably different than what you're thinking, though. We built it on God's name, image, and likeness.
Now that's Dabo.
That's Dabo. Yeah, that's Dabo. That's Dabo.
I have an unpopular take here.
Oh.
I kind of respect Dabo in the way that he's handling things in this day and age. So here's my thing with him, right? If Clemson wants to win like they did when it was rolling, that's never going to happen again with anybody ever. Get over that, right? But Dabo has decided that this is the kind of program that he wants to run, and they're going to run it. When they suspended Deion Kane for smoking weed before the bowl game that time, and he gave him a second game, which I thought was stupid. But it's when I learned that Dabo really believed the stuff he talked about. He cost himself a national championship doing that. I was like, oh, he actually believes this stuff. And he's going to run his program the way he wants to run it. And if they fire him, that's fine, because that's the way he wants to do it. And I ain't a lot of men of principle left, even if all them principles ain't the same as mine. He just a little goofy. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
My favorite unintended part, though, of all of this is that every time Clemson loses a big game, just the memes go nuts. Like after the Georgia game, someone was like, Dabo, what do you say to people who say you're washed? And it was like, I am washed. Washed in the blood of our Lord and Savior.
Yes, he has become that guy, because nobody else, like no coaches like coaches used to be. You know what I mean? Like he's the only one really left out here that's giving you an actual factual personality.
It's fair. Listen, it is not tantamount to winning anymore, but to your point, he has decided this is the hill he's going to die on, and like this is the hill he's going to die on. Speaking of dying on hills, here's our final one. And I'll give you a little hint at the end. In the midst of the storm, I know that God's preparing me for something special. Let's ride.
Is that a hint, Elle? Is that a hint, Elle?
Is that former Denver Broncos savior Russell Wilson?
Bruh.
Man, I mean, if you're Russell Wilson, Bo, do you just you got to let it go, right? After this year, I mean, I think that the Steelers should keep riding with Justin Fields. Russell Wilson hasn't shown anything that you would just automatically make him the starter when he is feeling better, when his calf is healed up. But if you're Russ, like, do you just count your losses and go live your beautiful life with your family and your hot, hot wife? Like, or do you going to try and go somewhere else? He's on a 1-year deal with Pittsburgh.
Yo, it's so interesting that you say that, because I remember that I had a year back when I was a freelance writer, and I put myself on a 1-year clock. And I was really grinding to get a contract working for ESPN.com. I made that decision. I put that work in, and then I got that contract. And at the same time, I got into a relationship with a woman that I was just head over heels in love with. And I mean, I just couldn't possibly be more in love, at least it felt like at that time, than I was with that woman. And then 1 year later, they did not renew my contract. Apparently, I was doing a little bit too much loving and not enough writing. And it went that way. And maybe that's what's happened here to Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson got Sierra, right? Russell Wilson got Sierra, was like, I mean, I could be out here working out, or I could be in there working out. What you think I'm gonna be trying to do right now? You know, like I know that's not the case. I don't want to at all make it seem like I'm blaming either of these women for the way things went. But if I had all, I mean, I hate when we do this with people. If I was him, I know I would just be at the house. But if I was him, I think I would just be at the house.
Right. Listen, not all goodies are created the same. And Lord knows, I mean, Sierra used to come up on my radio show, and my co-host, Ryan Cameron, shout out to Ryan Cameron, he would literally have to elbow me and be like, stop staring at her legs. You're being a creep. She is a beautiful woman. I mean, she's
nothing
she's
in this world is more unlikely. And I know I've been saying this for years. So people who've heard me give this quote unquote joke before, you just have to live with me again, because I still can't believe it. There's no way in the world you ever were going to tell me that Russell Wilson was going to end up married to a woman whose middle name was Princess. There's just no chance in the world. You think of every princess you know, and not once did you think that any of them would ever even get a date with Russell Wilson. No. And I assure you, all them dudes that she used to date, the ones that we know about, none of them can believe it went this way.
No. 50 Cent, Future. But again, I mean, I think.
Oh, I didn't know about 50 Cent.
That was well known.
Oh.
It was not public. It was well known in the Atlanta circles. But the idea, I mean, but again, I think they trap broke her. She was like, I thought that I wanted these trap dudes. I do not want these trap dudes. I want to go the opposite. I want safe. I want someone who Googles, how do I express my love? Like, I want someone who says poetry to me, even if it's Dr. Seuss. Like she went the total opposite way. Good for her. She seems happy.
Somebody told her, girl, you need to go out there and get you a nice man. You need you a man that go to church. You got to stop messing with these thugs. They ain't going to take you nowhere.
Thank you. It is not sexy to have a man that you have to wonder if he'll cheat on you. And we all know Russell Wilson ain't doing none of that.
Look, they ain't going to lie, man. I don't trust a lot of what I see out there, man, but they be out there looking happy as hell, boy. Now, they thought this was all going to go different. They thought they was about to be Walmart royalty. They thought they was about to go in there with the Broncos, and they was about to make this happen. And that right there, that hasn't gone the way that we thought it would. But you know what Russell Wilson still got? That paper. And I try not to be that guy that's like, hey, but at least you got that paper.
No, it's valid.
From the outside in, brother, I would not be playing for no Pittsburgh Steelers, no Baltimore Ravens, no Saskatchewan Rough Riders. I'd have been quit this job. I'd have been, if I was him, I'd have been Woj. I'd just go back and work at my old high school.
Facts. Right off into the sunset. Go back down to the NC State and be a legend.
Hell yeah. Woj woke up one day and was like, man, I'm so sick of this phone.
Facts.
Correct.
That phone is resting peacefully today.
Yes.
And listen, I had an opportunity. Woj pulled me in July into the green room and let me sort of witness him at work with this Russell Westbrook trade when he was traded to Utah and eventually signed with LA. And the 30 minutes I sat in there watching him take calls and like the things that he had to say and how he had to navigate it and how he had to be very particular. And this is just one like little thing. I left there thinking, I do not envy this man at all for the job that he has to do, but also it is an art, what he does, what Schefter does, what all of these insiders do. Because while we want to sort of, certainly we've seen Schefter have to take some hits, publicly when things are leaked or whatnot about how he approaches stories and stuff like that. They are not held to the same principles of journalism that you learn in J school because they are of their most value when they are giving you information, and the way that they have to navigate personalities and egos and all of those things in order to get this information, it has to be exhausting. And it's something that just never, ever ends. There's no time when they can just put their phone down and enjoy their families. And so good for him.
The last time I saw Adrian was at Summer League in 2022, and he was being Adrian, a different kind of dude. That's the number one that you need to understand. But he can be very nice and warm, and especially with people like if you ain't competition, he could be just as thoughtful a person as you could think of. And he was telling me how much he enjoyed Game Theory, the show that we did on HBO, and I appreciate the fact that he watched it. Keeping in mind, I met Adrian in 2005 because I sent him an email to correct something he had written, and he told me, well, and I told him I liked the book he had written. He said, that is a high compliment coming from you. This was 2005.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Okay. You know what I mean? So like that's the kind of dude that he is, but he's telling me how much he liked the show. He's also nonstop on the WhatsApp. You know what I'm saying? And as it was going, my thought was not, hey, you can't stop and just give me this time. My thought was, wow, you are actually willing to give me a sliver of this time when your phone gets it all.
Yeah. It really is. Like, you get past it very quickly when you're talking to Schefter and you're like, you're not being rude at all. You have to be on your phone. And he's able to carry on a conversation with you while he's doing this. I mean, he answers his phone when we're on air, because he has to, because the timeliness of the information is just as important, if not more, than the information itself. So good on Woj for being able to walk away on top, do his Barry Sanders, although not as many hits, and to go and to help his team. But Monty, good on you for coming on the show. Finally, we hope that you will come back and see us. And obviously, I'd love to come on the right time as well, since it's apparently the only podcast of note that anyone hears me on. So.
I appreciate you all the time. I appreciate you having me here. And I look, and like everybody that works on your show is somebody I know. It was so funny because I was like, who works on the show? And you gave me the names. I was like, oh, they know how to get in touch with me. Yeah. And they still went through Sean. That told me a whole lot about you, motherfucker.
And on that.
Bo's the best, but he's great, but he also brought up such a great point. When it comes to Adrian Wojnarowski, who is going to be leaving, like, there's a lot of qualifications that you need to be a great insider, and as we close out the show, can we just throw out a couple of like names that we think could maybe slide in apart from Brian Windhorst breaking wind?
It's so good. We have to take him and elevate him to this position. So that way ESPN graphics have to literally create one that says breaking wind.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's right there. I got to text him actually right after this. I mean, in terms of prereqs, how many unread texts do you have on your phone right now?
Let's see.
Let's see if we can check the first box.
You want to see?
Yeah.
Can you read that? Wait.
Is that 1,000?
That says 1,166.
Unread texts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually cleaned it up.
Okay. I think this might just mean you're a bad friend. I thought mine was going to win. I have 200 and I don't know how far back that goes.
See, let this be a reminder to you all that think I'm just big timing you or not responding. I don't respond to anybody ever. I'm so bad on my phone. Hence those 1,100 unread text messages.
Yeah, she do got 2 kids under 5.
I'm not ignoring you. I'm just not even reading you.
Okay, 200 to 1,100. Okay, so you're in pole position right now. What about emails? Does Woj do emails? I'm at 94. I like to clear mine out pretty quick.
Oh, unread emails?
Yeah, I'm at 94. 8 missed calls.
See, I'm at unread emails. They're a lot. And I actually cleaned those up as well. My unread emails used to be pretty significant. Wait, how do you even find them?
Yeah. First of all, if your emails aren't on your homepage, you don't even care about email.
No, they aren't on my homepage.
Oh,
there you
damn.
go. But I can tell you by going in and looking at them, I have, let's see, 36,000 unread.
Okay, that's just a bunch of Groupons. That's just a bunch of Groupons and whatever, Pinterest updates.
Lastly, being a good insider is all about how many contacts you have. How many contacts do you have?
That's a good one. How do I do that?
1,391.
Okay, but how many of those? How do you look? I'm just
Go
in
to
my
contacts.
Yep.
Go to contacts and look at the top. It says all contacts.
Oh, standby. No, all contacts. I don't know. It just says, what's funny is our producer, Sarah, is quite literally my very first contact because her last name is AB.
Oh, you do it by alphabetical order?
Oh, all contacts. 1,211.
Got you beat there too, friend.
Yeah.
Looks like I'm the next insider.
You got more juice.
Except for that I literally don't know a single GM in the NBA. Is that a qualification?
No, you don't need to. Just make some
all
up.
good. All right. That's kind of the subline, the byline of our show. We're just here making some up. Thanks for letting us make some for the next hour. We'll see you guys next week. Happy end of the WNBA season. Hopefully, I'll see you guys on Sunday locked in. You can watch your football, but also, alternate screen us as well. Going to be some great games across ABC and ESPN. And then we will unpack it all, Gare Bear, next week when we come to you on Tuesday.
All right, let's get it.